Welcome into the weekly round. All right, so we have a lot of good stuff packed in the show tonight. We have our interview with Brian from yesterday. Unfortunately, last night I was on the live stream show and couldn't officially edit and put the video together. I went from interviewing Brian to the show, and then from the show to bedtime because it was almost midnight, 1 o'clock, and some people have to get up and work in the morning. So didn't get a chance to edit last night. Editing today, throwing it together, getting it online, and making something happen because it's good. So I was in a little spat today. I can say spat. I mean, every day, you get on social media, somebody has, some absolute dumpster fire, butt garbage they're throwing out there. So I posted this meme about Fetterman and Biden, having a conversation. I'm pretty sure they understood each other in this conversation. But anyway, Miss Andra Maria, lost her freaking mind. I tell you, I'm not going to post the comments, and anyway. So she went bonkers, and I said, "Hey, this it's just a meme, like cool off." And I was going to send her the meme that goes around the you find it insulting. I find it funny, and that's the difference between you and me. That's why you have gray hair, and you're not going to live as long as me. I was gonna post that meme, but that would have triggered her. But I didn't, and I just killed her with kindness because that's kind of the only way you can deal with these people. It's funny because she's a perfect type, and I don't know her from Adam. I really don't. But I have a friend from high school that knows her, and is good friends with her, and she even says that Andra Maria is the type that will be on the streets, kicking the homeless people and, teasing them with her $1,000 Gucci bag 1 second, and then be a social justice keyboard warrior during the pandemic, like so many were, knowing all her, the other 99% facts and all that. So, anyway, so that's in the past, but got to give them a shout out because we like to give out shout out to stupid people out on the show. Good show last night. Tyler Randall, everyone listening, make sure you tap into his channel. I love Tyler. He's such a smart kid. And, he gives it straight, such a smart kid. He's a little extreme on the right. And I'm kind of in the middle, in the middle of the middle, right? Because I see both sides, and I enjoy dialogue. I enjoy dialogue where we're expressing each other what we feel, and we're pushing each other's boundaries, kind of, but not taking it irrational, right? So I can't be the only one in this country, in the United States, that is just a little sick and tired of Donald Trump's crap. I'm sorry. I'm just sick and tired of his stuff. The guy has gone bonkers, right? He's running his mouth. Now he's getting into DeSantis. I get them playing politics. That's what they do. That's how they do. But, man, just give it a rest, man. But can it just not be all about you for a second? We need a breakdown, and I'm probably going to do it sometime next week. I just have not had the time. We're going to break down the states that had, and the representatives in the midterm election that had Trump support, and the candidates that didn't have Trump support, and we're going to compare who did better, because I'm kind of interested to see what the true statistics are. As me, anybody that knows me, I'm a stats guy. I love stats. I push the stats on my weekly bet show for NFL and the NBA. So I'm a stats guy. I love stats. A small insert here. I hit 70 to 75% of my NFL picks. So that's something to think about. Jump on my weekly bet and make some cash. Anyway, so enough of that. Back to our politics and what we're talking about. We have to analyze some of this data, right? And I'm going to get somebody on like Tyler that can really help me break it down, or I got another guy. I think we're going to have one sometime next week, maybe. But It has to be done. I really would like to see the data and kind of push it out. I think, and this is Mike Turpin thinking, the red wave itself that turned into a glass of Kool-Aid, as you guys see, our glass of red Kool-Aid turned our red wave turned into a glass of red Kool-Aid. I just came up with that, so nobody laughed. It's okay. It's sad, right? I get it. It's very, very sad that it happened, right? Everyone was expecting something, and when expectations aren't met, you get disappointed, and that's what most of us were. We were just a tad disappointed in the results, but it is what it is. I think, and once again, I don't tell you guys what I think as much as I tell you what I can prove, and I'm pretty certain I'm going to go out on a limb today and say that the individuals that were supported by by President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, did not do as well as the individuals that were not supported by former President Donald Trump. The Daily Wire did an amazing job today, November 9th, explaining and breaking down some of the key matchups, and like the Fetterman and Mehmet Oz matchup. And this is one that I really want to break down, because Mehmet Oz was completely backed up by former President Donald Trump. And so I'm just saying, we're gonna have some fun breaking all those numbers down, and looking at everyone. Hopefully by that time they'll have some idea of who won Arizona. I think they have I honestly think they brought in the amputees to start counting ballots. So we're good for maybe to find out around Christmas. We'll see, but we have a good show today. Conversation with Brian is always exciting. I'm just letting you know, if you get triggered by toilet humor or two people talking about old times, probably not the show you want to watch. Me and Brian do a lot of catching up. I love that guy. He's a great. One thing I want you to get from our whole entire campaign of Veterans Day, and I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I want you to fully grasp how two people can have a relationship, not talk basically for years, decades. The second they catch back up, it's like they never left each other. And no matter what conversation it was, doesn't matter who it was with, everyone was from a different part of the country that we've interviewed, right? Everyone came from a different background. Everyone had issues that they dealt with like an adult, and they overcame. Everyone had mutual respect for one another. We had dialogue. We didn't agree. I mean, how many times did we not agree? Every show we're not agreeing on everything, but we have mutual respect for one another, and we have a rational conversation. That's the key. That is the absolute key. We've got a good show for you today. Hope you stay with us. Keep liking, subscribing, getting involved in everything that we have going on. Stick with the show, and we will see you in a bit.
Beijing has 3 goals working through the university system. The first is to influence the next generation of American leadership and how our rising crop of leaders perceives China. The second is to send Chinese students to American universities to acquire knowledge and skills, and then take that back to China. The third goal of Chinese operations on college campuses is intelligence, to collect sensitive information in research labs, especially at major research universities like Stanford and Harvard University. University presidents know this, and this is one reason why they're underreporting, misreporting, or keeping the names of foreign donors anonymous. They know what the Chinese are doing. They know why the Chinese give them so much money. They know their institutions are vulnerable to Chinese espionage. So why do they allow it? They're effectively inviting the Chinese to come in and steal American research.
All right, we got a Mr. Bryan Rowell into the weekly round. Can't tell you enough. I say this every episode. I freaking love this guy. I've known this guy my whole entire adult life. I have me and him are gonna beat up stories here for the next little bit. It is midterm day. We have our interview with Joe Biden here later tonight with the president, Joe Biden. We just have nothing but energy and lots of really great things happening. Before we get into the show, let's introduce a Mr. Bryan Rowell. Hit me.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good. So, unfortunately, I'm coming at you from a hotel. I'm traveling for business. I'm in South Carolina right now. Been doing a lot of that lately. But yeah, man, it's good to be here. Good to see your face.
Yes,
as
sir.
ugly as it is, it's just as ugly as I remember it. But
Yep,
I still
nothing's
love
changed.
that face.
Nothing's
Except
changed,
me.
man.
You guys get old. I get better looking.
Yeah, it's because all the semen that you you indulge in.
Whiskey.
Yeah,
Whiskey.
well, yeah, that too, right? All right, man. So let the weekly rounders know. Tell them about your military career.
Yeah, so I joined the Marine Corps in 2000. Did the whole Parris Island boot camp thing. Moved on to Pensacola, start working on getting my training for working on aviation. I knew I wanted to be something to do with aviation since I was a little kid. Top Gun and Iron Eagle and all that stuff was making me have the itch, and it never really went away. So got into that. Did my time in Pensacola, then ended up in North Carolina, and eventually at 223 there at Cherry Point, working on Harriers, and the time there was some of the best and worst times of my life. Made some of the most amazing friends that I have that I still have. Best man in my wedding. Actually, let's see, all three of the people that were in my wedding are people that I met while I was at 223, and I still try and see as many of them as I can, as often as I can. But doesn't matter how frequently or infrequently I see them. It's when we get together, it's like we never left.
And that's the best part, it really is.
It really is. The relationships and the bonds that we build through joint suffering is it's unbreakable, and there's nothing else like it. I've after the Marine Corps, I got out and I did some contracting work with L3, and that was kind of similar, but it was all military guys. So it was that transition was super easy for me until I went to college to start working on an electrical engineering degree, and then I wanted to punch everybody in the face all the time.
Yep. That about sums it up. So I have a Bryan Rowell story, and it is one of the, let's see, what's the best word for it? Because I can't say it's like a super duper good story, but it'll make you chuckle. So
it's one of the most traumatic experiences of your life.
No, not well, traumatic, yes, but okay. So I've had this man's balls in my hand on two separate occasions.
You almost said mouth.
So I had his genitals in my hand in two separate occasions. So we're getting chewed out at a formation in the shop, and of course I'm standing at parade dress because I'm standing in the front ish, whatever, and have my hands behind my back, and I all of a sudden feel this like sack of marbles in my hand, and I jiggle it around a little bit, and I'm like, oh, and then it for a few seconds I didn't realize that somebody stuck something in my hand that was not appropriate. That was the first time. So you would think that I will learn my lesson or something of the sort. So you had I think it was when you had your surgery for your deviated septum, and I go to your house to just check up on you or give you some dinner or something of the sort, bring in your homework or something from work or something, and I'm looking at my phone or something, and I have my hand out. I'm preoccupied somehow, and sure enough, you stick the sack of marbles once again in my hand, and forever in a day, you will forever have a bond, because we have that bond. Right.
In my defense, in the second one, like I'm pretty sure I was super highly medicated.
Oh, you answered the
But in
door.
the first one was just deviant nature,
Oh,
and
of course. Of
you were a
course.
target of opportunity.
Oh yeah, I got that a lot, definitely. Yeah, so the second time you were highly drugged because you answered the door just in your like skin tight boxer shorts and like what the hell's going on, brother, man? What the hell? No.
you,
You know,
you know,
you
it was one of the more pleasurable experiences of your life.
yeah, yeah, something like
Visually
that.
stimulating.
Something like that. You can call it whatever you want, I guess. You know, you completely nailed it because we did. We had some of the best relationships ever of the people that we had at 223. That was, and I'm not the only person that would say this. I will go out on a limb and say this. We had just some of the best people. We had the best management. We had some of the best leadership the whole way through, and it was. I can't say all the time, but it was relatively fun just to come to work, you know, and
Well, I
even
mean,
to,
even in the hard times, like when we were had maybe less than stellar senior leadership running the squadron, we had a good shop, from the OIC down to, I mean, Gerona was honestly one of the best dudes that I ever worked for, and still is. I mean, he's a nut job, and I love him. But
it's a rock job.
but I mean, that's the thing is, we have we may have been in a time that was, you know, if you looked at it as a day by day thing, you're like, fuck, this sucks. But in the end, the bad memories kind of fade, and we're left with the good memories in each other, and in the end, that's what matters. Like I know that if push came to shove and I was in a bind, like there's a dozen, 2 dozen people that I can call the phone on the phone and be like, yo man, I need you, and we're gonna make it happen one way or another.
Yep, you're exactly right. Like when we lost Davis at the beginning of the year, I remember when I found out, I text, I don't know, I probably text 20, 30 people.
Yeah,
I think you were the one to let me know, and it was funny because throughout the whole group of people that you text, you always get the same response. Holy shit, can't believe that happened. Here is my number if you ever feel that way. Everybody,
yeah, yep,
Black, Tank, everybody had the same reaction. Capon, I mean, everybody across the board. Just because it's true, genuine. We just care about one another. Not no homo, but well, in some cases, we're holding people's, mesh sack. But
I
I
mean
guess that's
it's you know I got nothing.
yeah, no, it's good.
No, it's one of those things where a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us came, from families that maybe weren't the greatest. We joined the Marine Corps to try and escape something, and when we got in, we created our family, and that's that's the beauty of the military is there's people that I consider family that I love that have absolutely no actual relation to me, but I'm tighter with them. I would go further out of my way for them than some of the people that I'm related to that I grew up with that raised me, that type of thing. It's
Oh,
and
definitely.
that's what that's what we become. It is a brotherhood.
It is. No better way to say it. Um, let's see. Where do I start? Where do I start? Let's see. How about the time we went to uh, what's it called? Not El Centro. Um, China
You
Lake.
know,
Was it
Joe
China
China
Lake?
Lake, yeah.
Yeah, that was
When
a
we
good
went
trip.
out to go see Gonzo,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a
yeah,
good trip. I tell people that story that want to know, tech, where military and really how far military stuff is. And so we walk over to Gonzo's hangar or his building, right? And he says, "Okay, hey, open those doors and wheel this lightning pod out. So we did, we're just BSing. And it's like, oh, hey, let's go warm the lightning pod up. So we go in the other room with the little makeshift cockpit. And he's like, okay, let's fire this thing up. Then we're firing everything up. The lightning pod's warming up. He walks back over and he's like, hey, you guys see that thing out there? And we're like, what are you talking about, Gonzo? He's like, exactly. And he goes over to the cockpit and unstows the lightning pod and then zooms into it. He's like, yeah, man, that's about 3.5 miles away. Like, oh my gosh. And it's like crystal clear on the MPCD, but you can barely see it, in the desert. Oh man, that was hands down. It was, and I'm like, yeah, that was in 2007. Just
Right.
It's 2020. You could just imagine all the BS that's going on and the technology that's available. So.
Oh yeah, that stuff is, it's amazing. I remember I went to the users show at Northrop Grumman in Chicago, and for the lightning pods, and they were basically, that building's on the outskirts of Chicago, and they had it hooked up basically on the roof, and they were pointing at it. I don't think it was a Sears Tower, but it was some building downtown, and they were able to read what a dude was writing on his computer. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Gonzo, man, I had a love-hate relationship with that guy. He is like the only person in my Marine Corps career that I ever like dreamt about murdering. Uh, that dude had it out for me so hard. And later I learned it was because, he wanted
the best for you.
Yeah, but man, did I hate that guy so much. And then we actually, obviously, we went to his house and stuff, when we were out there in China Lake, but man, I hated that guy so much. And in some ways, it was good for me. But I also think the way that he did things, like it held me back in a lot of ways, because if I was with your guys' group, when you guys went out, I would have had my low power and probably my high power right around then, but instead, like his level of knowledge and his desire for perfection was just so far beyond that. I mean, it was great. He was he was the best avionics guy that I've ever met. I mean,
oh yeah,
he was fucking wizard on that damn machine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
my favorite Gonzo story is when you guys got back from the boat, and I kind of had a little bit of resentment. Just it was more animosity because I didn't really know him, and I was getting experience and kind of making a name for myself. But and then he comes in and he acts like a sergeant, but he's a gunny, So
yep.
So we go and I knock out like 2 or 3 jets in that week. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. And then a jet came back with a really bad fuel gripe. And he's like, hey, get the toolbox and we're going to go out and fix that fuel gripe. I'm like, okay. So, check the toolbox out, grab it, we're walking out there. And he's like, tell me what you think. And I'm like, man, I hate fuel gripes. He goes, you know why you hate it? Because you're not good at it. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're exactly right. At the time I was like, that dick. But as I get older and a little bit more mature, I'm like, Jesus, the guy was just spot on. And he was like that with everything,
Yeah, he was. And looking back, like I said, I recognize now that, he was pushing us to be out of our comfort zones to make us, better, stronger versions of ourselves. But man, I hated that guy at the time. Whereas, for me, the opposite kind of with Graz, like when he came in, I didn't like Graz either. I love the guy now, but when he came in, I didn't like him either. But I remember like when he got to the shop as a staff sergeant, like, and he would work on things and then I would work on them. And like, I made it my goal every single day to prove him wrong. And I did a lot, but but that was like, I don't know. I had a chip on my shoulder too.
We all did
at that point. Yeah, we're 20-something-year-old kids at that point, and we're in our minds, we're indestructible Marines and we know everything. But yeah, looking back at it, I'm like, Probably could have handled that a little bit better.
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot.
Do you remember? I think you were there for that. Maybe you weren't. I was thinking of Gonzo, and he was always dipping Kodiak.
Oh yeah, I know where this is going.
Was it Howell that super
Hinkle,
glued his bottle?
Hinkle.
Oh, Hinkle, that's what it was. That super glued his bottle, but he didn't wait for it to dry, and Gonzo went to go spit his dip, and he got the
Shit all
super
over.
glue all over. Oh my god.
He was cleaning pad eyes with a spoon
Oh yeah. I
the
mean,
rest of the day.
yeah. Yeah,
You
we
know,
had some good times.
so my favorite Hinkle story, my favorite Hinkle story. So I've told a few Hinkle stories over the last few days, right? Just because he's an easy target, and he's just funny target. But my favorite Hinkle story, and I saved it for you or Billy. All right. So I've been in the shop maybe, I don't know, maybe a week, right? And it's Friday, and everyone wants to go home. So they say, okay, we're gonna go. We're ATAFing, but we have to get all of the clamshell panels off because there's a inspector coming. Sunday. He's gonna be here just Sunday. He's gonna run around, do the inspection. We're gonna throw all the clamshells back on. Just Harris and Hinkle run out and get all the clamshells, get the cart, and bring it out. It was uh, Dye. Oh man, Simmons, Tank, Black,
Yeah.
Tapin, everyone's sitting at the desk. Billy was there, and so, oh my gosh, it's so funny. And so, 20 minutes pass. Hinkle and Harris, they go out. 25 minutes pass. They come back in. They got the shopping cart, all the clamshells, and a big, huge bag of fasteners. And like,
where did those come from?
Dye lost his mind. He's like, I do not think so. I count them. So of course they were one fastener short, and we were there till like 8 o'clock that night because we're trying to find one fastener. Oh my gosh, who was the gunny that went with you guys on that ship? And then when he got back, and he was always yelling and screaming. He was an Avi gunny. He had like a really high and tight, and he was in maintenance control. He was always high strung, always screaming at everybody.
Shit, who was that?
Yeah, I forget it. Anyway,
yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
but he was the thing about him. He was never really in Avi though.
Yeah,
like
he was a prior.
He got fat. Yeah, prior.
Yeah.
I think.
No.
Actually, I think it.
No, Pryor was still at the schoolhouse whenever that happened,
right.
because I just got from the schoolhouse, but I don't remember the guy's name. But anyway,
but he had never really he was in avionics for all of like a year.
Yeah.
And then was just never there. Yeah, I mean, you've got, and that was the tough thing about maintenance control guys. Like they get in there and they do have a lot of authority in there, but you get some people that let it go to their head, and they just become absolute tools. We totally edit that part out of it.
So remember Teeterman? Love the guy. I remember one night, I could swear it was me and you. We go and we have a GPS gripe, and Jet comes back, pop 60 right off, change the batteries, and just run it up, punch it. It's good. Walk into control. Tiedeman's like, hey, how's that GPS gripe? All pompous and arrogant. And we're like, oh, we called NASA. We just called them and told them to align the satellites. We're good. And he's like, you guys can do that? Yeah, man, we're good to go, man.
Yeah.
Holy smoke.
And for every really good staff NCO that we had, like there was a complete and utter shithead that we had too.
Yeah.
I mean, there were guys that I absolutely loved, and they, I would die for it. Then there were some that I would run over them with a tug, because they just made our life hard. And then you had guys that were like, just they were cool, but they were weird. Like Pintha, like I loved that dude, but he was just weird.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then Gunny Gilmore. Do you remember Gunny Gilmore? Freaking jacked dude from QA. Yeah. I used to love messing with that guy.
So
he would go to the.
What's that?
Go ahead. I was to say he used to go to the gym and like he would only end up like lifting for like 2 minutes. And it was just like he just enjoyed people come up and talk to him about
Yeah,
how big he was.
yeah.
I used to fuck with him. I'd be like, Johnny, you're looking a little small today. And
He's
then
like, shut
no
up.
shit, like well, no, within like a half hour, like you'd see him with his gym bag and he was heading out. Like he just couldn't take it.
Oh, believe it. Yeah, so I had remember Smith from Ordnance.
Yep.
I had him on the other day, and what me remember when Woodmansey hit that bird, had that bird strike. This is like
Oh
03.
yeah.
And me, Smith, Gilmore, and a whole bunch of other guys ran down and did that chase crew. That was a good time. That was a good few days of drinking and what have you. But,
I think I'm trying to remember. I think it was Rizzo that um pulled the basket off during refuel and flew back and landed. And it was Woodmansey, Colonel Woodmansey. He's standing on top of the fucking aircraft, just ripping Rizzo to shreds because I mean, like he pulled like it was like 12 feet of fucking hose off
yeah.
of the plane, like just completely ripped it off. And if it had gone in the engine, the plane would have crashed.
Oh yeah.
But oh yeah, he was just ripping Rizzo's ass about how he fucked that up.
Oh man, I miss those
Wood
days.
Mancy, he was one of the good ones.
Oh yeah, he
But
was.
him, Colonel Bogart, I don't know how much experience you had with him, but I
Oh,
loved that dude.
yeah, he was a good dude. He was
And
he
then
was
he
a
went
good
to
dude.
231 and freaking rocked out there.
Yeah.
And then
He got me my job when I got out of the Marines. Bogart did.
he had one of the best. So you know he was there when Tom Rico was in charge, which everybody was
Love.
super
Yeah.
loved that guy.
Love that guy.
Our daily mission was to make sure that he couldn't fly and just
Yeah.
down every single jet that he got into. I remember
Oh,
we were in Yuma. Well, Bogart used to fly with white leather gloves where everybody else was using the green ones. And so we had just downed Pomerico in the lineup and he moved to go to another plane. And Pomerico had the thing where he always wanted to be the first one out taxing. Well, Colonel Bogart just like he's like, I'm not waiting on this dude, and like just went out and cut him off. And Pomerico was just slamming on his windscreen, like just so pissed that this other lieutenant colonel was gonna be the guy that was out before him.
uh, oh,
That's the only that's the only dude that I ever like cheered when he failed was Pomerico
mhm.
because he got hit with a DUI and some other stuff when he was down in Pensacola
Yes,
and they
sir.
canned him.
Yep.
But that guy was so look at me, look at me. Whereas we had other officers like Colonel Bogart, Colonel Woodmansey,
Schlund. What
Schlund. I was just
Lancaster?
gonna say
Lancaster.
Schlund was an amazing
Oh
amazing
yeah,
man.
good old boy, man.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Now he's a farmer out in Virginia.
He's good people. Still
Yeah,
good people.
he's one of the most down to earth dudes, and not just dude, but he is the most like humble officer I've ever met in my entire life.
Yep. Another one was Rom.
Colonel Rom was amazing.
He really was, man, because he was at the end of his lieutenant colonel, tour. We were his last unit, and he gave two shits.
Yeah,
Always remember, always remember Rom. At the end of his meetings, he'd have us all in, really just straight shooter, tell us exactly what's going on, and he'd be like, you know what? Anybody have anything? All right, see you guys. See you guys next weekend. So
yeah.
I went on an air show to Rochester, New York, of all places. I went with Pintha, Arango, and Richie Rich. Right.
Oh, that's a hell of a crew right there.
Holy smokes! It hands down was a, and I've probably told you this story, but we're gonna tell the weekly round because I never told them. So we go we pull into Rochester and Val. I forgot there was Val.
Wow.
Val, Pinta, Rango, and Richie Rich. So we pull in, we're at the Hilton, we're at the hotel, and word is Ron wants to talk to us before we go out the first night. We're like, okay. So we're down in the bar at the Hilton. And Ron comes down and he's like, hey, what do you guys want to do these few days? And we look around, we don't know what the hell he's talking about or getting to. And he's like, okay, how about this? I got 3 rules when we're here. Number one, you do not go out in your civilian clothes. You go everywhere in flight suits. I don't care if you don't have one. I have plenty at the desk coming out of the shower. So just grab one and it's all yours. Rule number two, you guys don't eat or don't pay for anything when you're here. If you're at the show, you got free food there. When you come back, you got free food here. Just put it on, put it on my tab here at the bar. And rule number three, my name's John. Don't come with this sir crap. Don't come with this lieutenant colonel. Don't come with this. I don't want to hear it. It's all John. And we're just going to have some fun when we're here. Let's just have some fun. And you guys chase as many girls as possible. And I was 22 maybe at the time.
Yeah.
And my jaw just dropped. I thought, wow, this hands down was one of the coolest things that I've ever been a part of. And holy smokes, it really was. Hopefully I can get a Rango or Pinta on the show one time and they can tell their side of the story, because it was just it was a rough few days. But Rom was good.
Pinta's in Ohio too. I'm not exactly sure where at. I think maybe the Dayton area. He tried to hit me up one time about stopping out there, and it just never worked out. And then Top Midgiff was living out by Cincinnati for a while, and again, been trying to get up with him for a while, and just never made that connection.
Yeah.
And Davis is out in Indianapolis. He's still
Davis.
Fucking he's still Davis.
He's still Davis.
Fucking him and Dietz, man. Like, I've got some of the best stories about Dietz
man.
as well. But what's funny about Luke? What's funny about Luke is that, like, he's the dumbest smart dude I've ever met in my entire life.
100%.
And I didn't realize that at the time, that he was smart. Like, I remember when he went off to sergeant school and we had the betting board about when he was gonna come back.
About that.
Because we're like, oh no, he's only gonna make it like 3 days, and somebody was like, no, he's gonna be there like 3 weeks longer than normal, and La Ditz.
My favorite Dietz story is Night Crew with Billy. I need to get Billy to tell this story tomorrow. When they're on Night Crew, they're ATAF-ing. Luke's at the desk filling out work orders, and Billy says, "Hey, Luke, hit the button." And Luke's sit there looking at the keyboard, and he's like, "What button do you want me to hit?" "Luke, the button. Hit the button." He's like, "What button do you want me to hit?" And it went on for like 90 seconds. And everyone around is just dying laughing because he knows what button he's talking about. But Luke is just oblivious to the button, to hit the button. And oh my gosh, it's one of my favorites.
I know to this day, if you bring up we went to war with Canada to Luke, like, he will still lose his mind. He's like, yes. That's not what I meant.
That's not what I said. And you know it. You know that's not what I meant. So I helped him move in to his new house, and he's doing pretty good. He had a rough few years there, but hands down the guy's doing good. And I helped him move in, and I like sincerely said to the guy, "Luke, I'm so happy you're happy." And I know I speak for another 20 people that were just so happy that you're happy, because he kind of had a rough time there for years.
That they weren't a good match.
Yeah, just leave it at that,
Yeah. But I mean, to be honest, like, I love Luke to death. He made a lot of dumb decisions over the years, and but at the same point, like, you look at him now and you're like, all right, yeah, it all worked out. It's so there's a plan. It's actually funny. It was I was on the phone with Gary Nielsen, an hour before I was talking to you, just talking with him, and that dude's he's doing T-Mobile thing, and he's been with them for a long time, and he's getting pretty high up there in the T-Mobile ranks. But I tell you what, man, like, Gary was he was the best desk sergeant, like, I think that we ever had. That dude, like, he didn't necessarily look the Marine part, but from a leadership and organization standpoint, he could move the pieces around and navigate the the body's as good as anybody.
It's funny because some people have it, and then there's some people that just don't. And Gary just had it,
Yeah.
and so Gary told me something before he left, and it stuck with me forever. And I mean, just like you always have something that you stick with, that we have in all of our relationships. But one thing Gary told me, he said, Terp, you're special. And at first I didn't quite understand it, but and he explains, you can do anything you want. The options are endless for you. And it really didn't hit me till I got out and I got in the oil field. And I actually think I called him and thanked him for telling me that. Like, dude, what you said, it probably took a little courage, and a little bravery, but I really appreciate it because it gave me the confidence in myself to always, tell myself, people do believe in you, and you can pretty much do anything. And so I always appreciated Gary for that. And I never had a problem with him. A lot of people did, but a lot of people are assholes. But
Well, and I think the biggest thing was, you know, Gary, from a leadership standpoint, was one of the better young guys that was out there.
mm-hmm.
But, he struggled with the physicality of the Marine Corps. And I think a lot of people kind of looked down on him because of that. But, the other side of it was, he would run circles around every single person that was looking down on him from a leadership standpoint. The guy just, like you said, the guy just had it. Yep. And he still does. I still talk to him relatively frequently. I probably talk to him more than anybody else. Billy would probably be second. And then I'll randomly butt dial the entire
what's up with that?
I have no clue. Like it just happens. I don't know. But it's happened twice at like 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, well, I'm laying in bed and I'm like, is my phone going off? And I'm like, what's Brian? What the hell are you doing? Like, hello? What are you doing? I'm like, sleeping. What are you doing? Oh, I'm out, backpacking through Germany. Like, why are you calling us? Oh, they don't accident. Hey, well, I'm gonna accidentally hang up on you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What ends up happening is I'll be on Facebook messaging somebody, and then like I won't like exit out of the app, and just the movement. I guess I wear a lot of like the thinner clothes and stuff when I'm hiking and moving around and stuff. So my butt cheeks are scrolling on the screen, and
that makes sense.
Obviously my butt cheeks are screaming for you guys. Yeah. So
they
just naturally know.
they miss the meat. I get it. I get it. So
we had some good dudes, man, and that's I wouldn't trade those experiences with you guys for anything. Really kind of molded us into who we are, and most of us are doing really well. I mean, there's always going to be some of us that don't, but it's the nature of life.
That's the truth, man. So we're gonna run out of time for this segment, but dramatic pause for effect. Before we go to commercial, I want you to get a plug on your brand.
Yeah, so Bravo Defense, came to be earlier this year. I'm kind of a firearms, enthusiast, I would say. Like I just love guns. And it's not just from, a tinkering standpoint, which I love to do, but, shooting is, it's kind of therapeutic for me. And I just really enjoy it. But one of the things that I realized where I was at in Ohio is that there were a lot of people doing, concealed carry and other tactical type classes, but there was nobody out there that was doing just like the basic, like super fundamental stuff. And so that's where I came to be. Like I wanted to be the guy that, taught you how to use your first gun to help you pick out some, your first pistol. And then we can grow from there, and it's kind of morphed into, more of a training thing. Eventually, sure, I'd love to open my own gun store, but life is kind of moving things around with me right now. I'm in the middle of trying to relocate from Ohio to South Carolina, and I'm going to reincorporate the business there. But the business is kind of morphing into training, but not just training to use firearms, but training to defend yourself in all aspects of life, and helping people with the knowledge of, just things that you and I and some people may take for granted, in being prepared and defending yourself, to spread that to the everyday people. I mean, a firearm is a great tool, but at the same point, if you don't practice with it, it's kind of pointless. I venture to say that half the people out there that carry, I would take their pistol and beat them to death with it before they could draw on me.
That's the truth, man. I agree.
But that's just one part of defense. There's defending yourself, defending your family, defending your home, and a lot of that is just being aware and being vigilant. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just educate people on how to do that. And, in the end, I like teaching. I almost, after I got out of the Marine Corps, became, a professor, because I wanted to teach history, and I just realized that I hate people. Kids anyway. I hate teenage 20 kids. But adults, I can teach. So, and that's kind of what it morphed into. And now it's we're selling knives, and we're going to expand out eventually. Like, I want it to be a complete home solutions thing. I want to get to a point where we're selling bulk food for people, for having stuff on hand, water purification, but home defense stuff for like window film securities, security systems, stuff like that.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So we're gonna jump to commercial here real quick, and then we'll have you back on. So
sounds good.
Weekly Rounders, we're gonna jump here to commercial. Who's getting the best of you? It's a question you have to ask yourself. It's not your family. It's not your loved ones. We're at work 10 to 14 hours a day. Who's getting the best of you? If you're watching this, you classify as one of three people. The type that is scared to bejesus of how much power our government has. Number two, you're the type that could probably use 1 or 2 extra incomes to your household, right? Or number three, tech is absolutely just blowing up. There's hundreds of millions of dollars just waiting to be monetized through YouTube monetization, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and you're kind of crazy if you're not poking at the bear and just trying to get some of the crumbs that are trickling down. 1, 2, 4, 10,000 a month income. For what? All you're doing is posting things that you're passionate about. Over and over again. I say it all the time. Call today. Reach out and talk to our specialists on how we can help you. How we can help you open some of these doors for financial freedom and kind of get your life back. Not only get your life back, but start finding out who you really are and what's important to you. Start giving some of that time back to your friends and your family. And start living your life. Start living your life for you, and stop living your life for your job. Once again, come check us out, www.carbonmelon.com. That's www.carbonmelon.com. CARBONMELON.com. Come, check us out, make an appointment today, talk to one of our specialists. What do you have to lose? Free consultation. What do you have to lose? Get your life back. Thanks again for everyone sticking with us. I hope the commercials are as good as we expect. Thanks Brian for sticking with us here. So we left with Brian kind of leaving us hanging on his brand and all that. Brian, just let the weekly rounders know how they can get some of this hot merch.
Yeah, so www.bravodef.com. So somebody already had the full Bravo Defense,
Of course.
bastards. But I got Bravo Def, and I've got bravodefense.net also, which links to the same place. But yeah, go on there. I sell Battle Horse knives, training classes. I also sell the Mantis dry fire training systems, which in the days of today where ammunition is still relatively expensive, getting good dry fire practice is pretty invaluable, and the Mantis systems are pretty amazing for that. I drastically improved my capabilities when I just started consistently dry firing. And the nice thing about this, at least with the Mantis, the 10 Mantis X10s, you can use them dry fire, you can use them during live fire, and they provide you feedback on, are you jerking the trigger? Are you anticipating the shot and pushing down? It gives you instant feedback on your performance and
Cool.
kind of how to correct that. So cool stuff. And they pay for themselves pretty quickly when you look at the price of ammo and what you can save by just dry firing.
Absolutely, man. And that's www.bravodef.com.
Yes, sir.
Bravodefense.net.
Yes, sir.
Roger Dodger, man. Everyone write that down. All right. So you know what? We covered a lot in the first section there. We talked a lot about, Mike, Brian, Ballard. We didn't get into Ballard. Dietz, and all the craziness that, the first 15 years of our life was. We can't get over it. Today is midterm day, man. Tell us, some of your feelings about the midterms and kind of where we're going country-wise.
I'll preface this with, over the past, decade, I've been very libertarian and third party, and my thoughts, on that are still strong. But the problem with that is the way that our current political environment is set up is you just can't vote that way, because you're basically just you're canceling out your vote, because the two-party system is so strong right now, that a vote for a third party is essentially just a vote for the Democrats at this point. And the problem is that we are now being basically controlled by the extreme 5% on either side, where most of us are in the middle. But the problem is the 5% on the left is so far beyond anything that our country was meant to be and what it was meant to stand for. It's just it's just asinine, and it's criminal, and we got to vote these crazy fuckers out, is what it amounts to.
You're exactly right that it is so far from reality, right? That this is not what anybody wanted for their families. We're burning our cities down. We're burning our cities down because we know that we're going to get a check, that they would get a check from the federal government. Basically, it's blank, that they can rebuild everything and call it, structure, or what do they call it? Infrastructure.
Build back better. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That infrastructure bill. Like I've never in my life, maybe I've heard it, but I just haven't been privy enough to understand it. The infrastructure bill was absolutely insane, because all they did was they wrote a blank check to all the cities that completely burnt themselves to the ground in 2020, and it's just like you said, it's asinine, and the 5% on each end control the rest of the whole entire country that just want, we want schools that are teaching ABCs, 1, 2, 3 is not up is down, left is right, and water is dry. Stop teaching all this crap to my 5 to 12-year-old and just teach them the ABCs. That's all I want. That's number one.
and you know what? Stop sexualizing everything. Everything.
Seriously.
I, you know, I don't. It's not that I really give a shit about anybody being gay. You know, you do you. But you
Yes.
know what? Kindergartners and elementary school people in general, hell, even middle schoolers, don't need to be learning about what a blowjob is.
Yep.
At that age, it's just bad. It's all bad. So the town that I live next to made national news. I don't know, like a month or so ago. So there was a kid in the high school that identified as a furry, which I didn't even know what the fuck that was.
Yep.
I had to look it up. So this kid basically identified as a cat, and the parents were supporting it. And the kid wanted a cat box, a litter box, put in the classroom so that if it needed to go to the bathroom, it could use it. And then the parents were threatening to sue the school if they didn't support it. And I'm just like, in what world is this okay? You know, it's completely freaking mind boggling that, that, that we're even contemplating allowing things like this.
Yeah.
I'm all for, being inclusive, but at the same point, we shouldn't be catering to the fringe
Completely
when
agree.
you're talking about a half a percent of people that, that's, should they be protected? Sure. But we're not going to change our everyday lives for that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's
That's
it's insane, man. And when we were younger, when we were younger, it was cool to smoke. It was cool to, you know, go and toilet paper people's houses. It was cool to, shaving cream somebody's door or something stupid like that. And the social unnorms were, wearing Jenko pants and, having maybe a nose ring. Those were the social, outliers. Now, like the social outliers are, I feel weird, so I identify as something completely different, and I'm going to make everyone around me pay for it. Like, hold on,
yeah,
like I get it. You guys don't hide in the closet and masturbate anymore. I get it, whatever, but stop pushing your crap on everyone else because we're just sick of it. We're just trying to go to
well,
work. We're just trying to raise
yeah.
kids and just trying to pay our bills. You know?
Well, and the same thing is like the same reason that we don't let kids smoke and drink legally. They're not mature enough to make those decisions. But you've got a president that's saying that 12-year-old kids are mature enough to make a decision about changing their sex. But at that age, they're also not eligible to go into the military, own a gun, vote, do really anything. It's all a degradation of society, and
Yep.
in a lot of tense, I think it's purposeful to try and divide people and make us weaker as a nation. And I think that's the problem. And that those instances are still, they're really small, but those are what get all the attention.
Yep.
I was over in the UK, and people were like, you guys have a gun problem. I'm like, no, not really. I
Yep.
mean, they're like, yeah, but shootings happen all the time. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, they do in certain cities. I was like, but you take out, New York, LA, Chicago, you know, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Gary, Indiana. You take out these like democratic strongholds, and the U.S. murder rate topples like gigantously.
186 in the country. So I did a podcast on it. So we have 500 million registered firearms in the United States. Up to 1968, we weren't even serializing weapons. They were just manufacture out the door, manufacture out the door, manufacture out the door.
You used to
Then
get them from the Sears catalog.
yeah, exactly. So it realistically, it's probably around the 1 billion mark. So if we truly had a gun problem, we would be wiped out realistically. So the whole that whole narrative that we have a gun problem in the United States, it's just a story. It's so full of baloney, and
So
it's
there were 4 shootings in London while I was over there for 2 weeks. Guess
yeah.
what? You can't have any fucking guns
Can't
over
have a
there.
gun there.
You can't
Oh
even have
shit.
you can't even have a knife, which made me extremely uncomfortable because that's the first time in years that I've been without a gun and a knife on me. Except
Crazy,
when I'm
man.
traveling on an airplane. But there's knives in my bag, in my checked bag that I get when I'm at the airport. Like I normally have two knives on me and a gun at all fucking times. And people ask, "What are you scared of?" Well, nothing actually. Like
Yeah.
I'm literally afraid of nothing
Yeah.
because why would I be?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same point, I also I carry because I see it one as my right to do so, but I don't want to put the people that I love in a situation where I can't protect them adequately.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing for me. And you know, do I worry about gun violence? No, no, it truthfully never crosses my mind.
Good.
Um, you know, but I always carry. And I practice with my firearm a lot
Mm-hmm.
because
As
I
everyone
want to be
should.
proficient. Yeah, I mean the people that carry and only fire once a year are stupid, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just as likely to hurt other people as they are to you know.
Absolutely.
But
I,
I hate that.
I have a 300 blackout SBR, and my daughter thinks she's John Wayne with that thing, man. She loves shooting it, dude. She hates cleaning it. I put a little blackout scope on, or a little red dot scope on it, and she at like 50 yards, man. She just thinks she's the coolest little thing. She hates cleaning that damn thing, but oh man, she loves shooting that thing. She's
all
pretty good.
all my girls can shoot. I've got three girls. The oldest is 14, the youngest is 8. All of them can shoot. My oldest, Bella, she's probably more proficient with a rifle than most men on the planet.
I'd
And
expect nothing less.
they all learned on a 1947 Winchester Model 61. It's a octagonal barrel pump action 22.
Awesome.
The thing is still a tack driver. It's 80 years old and the thing is still a tack driver.
Awesome.
But you know what? Those skills they don't get less important. It if anything, they get more important, especially as we approach, the uncertainty of the times as they are now.
Yes, sir.
With a country that's just more and more divided. It's sad to see, but I hope that the polls are leaning towards the red, and it's not necessarily because I agree with everything they do. It's just I can't support most of what the Democrats are doing.
That's the truth, man.
And that's it's sad that that's a state of our political system right now. But we've got to protect ourselves, our family, and our country. And right now, voting Republican is the only way that I can see that happening.
It's great to see that you're watching all of my shows because this is exactly what I've been hitting on the last 4 days.
Wait, you have a
So,
show? I
so
thought we were just talking.
yeah, well, it is what it is, you know. So the pendulum swings back and forth. Ruth Bader Ginsburg said it best. Pendulum swings back and forth. So we're in that swing back to normalcy. What scares me is when it's 2028, if we make it through 2024, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a replica of 2020. When the pendulum swings back in 2028, I can I can't even imagine because I never in a million years would think I would be afraid to say no. You shouldn't wear your cat outfit to school and act like a cat. You can get it. You can get in trouble for saying that nowadays, which just boggles
Yeah.
my mind. Here in Clarence, where I live, predominantly predominantly white, medium income is like $70,000 a year. I mean, it's very wealthy area, and we have 3 cat people at our high school that require litter boxes and licking themselves and all the other crazy bonker stuff that goes on. So yeah, man, it's not just in near you. It's really all over the place, and it's just bonkers. So
Yeah. But again, I think it's the problem is, and I'll go on, like I want to like Elon Musk, like, and I'm hopeful that he's on our side, in buying Twitter and exposing the bots and stuff like that. There's some issues with him that I have me a little concerned, but
Completely different show, but yeah, we'll hit them up sometime because I
yeah,
agree with you.
um, but I think it's all part of they're showcasing extreme instances and enough to make it seem like it's the norm when it's not. And these are relatively isolated incidences. Are they happening more than they did 30 years ago? Well, yeah, sure, but you know you've got Disney Channel sexualizing things, and
Oh yeah,
you've got you know gays and trans people in children's shows. And again, I'm not anti gay or trans. Like I know people that are both. And
you served with them.
yeah, I mean, there's a guy that I call a brother that's gay, but you know what, and that's his choice, and I support him in that. But at the same point, like I don't necessarily think that it's right that we are um spoon feeding that to our kids.
Yeah, it's
That's
not right.
just no. So yeah, I think I'm hopeful about the outcome of today and 2024. I think I am a little bit of different opinion over the 2024 election from a lot of people. I know a lot of people are hoping that Trump runs again.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with
and,
you.
and to be honest, I think that's the only way the Republicans lose is if Trump runs again.
I completely agree
What
with you.
what I would like to see is a Ron DeSantis and Tulsi Gabbard ticket. And um, you know, I don't agree with Tulsi on everything. I don't agree with Ron on everything, but Ron Ron is a more appetizing Trump in a lot of ways. So from a policy standpoint, I love Trump. From a policy standpoint, I think he was probably one of the best things that happened to our country in my lifetime.
Especially
Uh,
foreign policy.
yeah, but as a person, like I couldn't stand him, to be
Yeah,
honest. Like
yeah,
he's a horrible human being, and I want nothing to do with him. And I think as a commander in chief in the face of our country, like he was an embarrassment. Less of an embarrassment as what our current president is, because he's not shitting his pants in front of the Pope and falling off stages and just mumbling about everything. But at the same point, we got to stop electing these old geezers.
it's the truth, man. It's the
I
truth.
mean, don't let me be in charge, because it's not going to be a democracy or a republic. It's going to be the totalitarianism of Rowell. But uh, it'll be it would be nice. People would be kind to each other.
At the least,
Yeah, but again, I think a Tulsi Gabbard, Ron DeSantis ticket wipes the floor with anything that the Democrats can put in front of them.
It's gonna happen.
I hope that's the case. I mean, she did recently, renounce her Democratic Party,
That
which
was
is a
the only
good move
reason
for
she
her.
did, man. That was the only reason she did. So she could run.
I hope that's the case. And you know what? I predicted this. I predicted this 2 years ago to people that she's too normal. She's too normal for the Democrats
Yep.
anymore. And I'm not a fan of her 2A policies, and several other things. But overall, I think she makes sense.
Yep.
She can pull enough of the center left vote that it's strong. But we. Well, I don't know who they would put forward for the Democratic Party. I know there's several names out there.
They don't have
But
anybody strong enough to put
they
up a fight
don't.
against anybody.
They don't, and they can try. And I think the most successful things that the Democrats have ever done is the silent majority to
Yeah.
convince Republicans and the everyday person that they're the silent majority, and
It's the
that
truth,
they don't have to go out and vote. They don't have to do any of this because they're the silent majority, and you've got this. But that's the problem. And I have problems with the red wave that's everybody's talking about right now, because when people think, oh, it's in the bag, then
Yeah.
I don't have to go do my duty, and
Yeah. I agree too.
that's when we lose. And I don't mean we as in Republicans. I mean we as a fucking country.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
not red white. It's not red or blue. It's red, white, and blue. And
yeah,
that's where
and
we're
that's the thing.
falling
I mean,
short.
there's some of the stuff that the Republicans say and do. I'm just like, God, you guys, please shut up. That's dumb. But you know, 90% of the time, I honestly believe they have the best interest of our country in heart. But I will say, we need systemic changes in our government. It starts with term limits, and it starts with and a lot of people aren't going to like this, age limits.
Oh
You
yeah,
got to stop electing these fucking geezers that collect Social Security, that are so out of touch with the rest of society, to
that's the truth,
office.
man.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, once you are eligible to collect Social Security, you're ineligible to hold office, because at that point you're past your prime.
It's the truth, man. It's the
and
truth.
and, and the evidence of that is the last 8 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the people that we've had in charge and the things that they've said, and then the actions of Biden, which I don't think anybody actually believes that he's the one running the show.
Yeah, everyone knows that. Especially since how much campaigning has Obama done in the last 2 weeks? And you just see video of Obama, running strong, and slowly after the rally's over, you see Obama, or you see Biden walk up on stage.
Yeah,
It's crazy, man.
it's honestly, like, it's sad to see. It's sad for him.
Oh, that's the
It's
truth.
sad for it's sad for our country. Um, and you know, I so I was over in the UK when the whole prime minister test lasted. She didn't last 3 weeks in office, or
45
45 days
days.
or something.
45
Yeah,
days. Yeah.
45 days. And so I lovingly was jabbing at my UK brethren for um, taking the heat off the U.S. as being the laughing stock of the political world
Just for a
for
second.
just for a few seconds. Um, but I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I honestly believe the rest of the world looks at Biden and they're like, this is a joke, and it's
Oh
not
yeah.
even a good joke. It's a horrible, horrible joke.
It's no comment, because you're speaking the truth, dude. We got 6 more minutes, and I need to get into this. Right, I completely agree. We completely agree. Everything 102.3% of politically. No, I'm
That
I'm
that
I'm
point
exactly
that
with you.
point three is important.
Exactly. That's what the weekly round kind of holds our hat on. So when it comes to the American flag and the national anthem, man, how do you feel when you see it and you hear it? So I want you to think about it for a second. I'm going to tell you a story. So a few weeks ago, last week, I don't remember, time kind of smushes together. I was at a hockey game with Graz, and we're freaking toasted, so because that's what we do. And we stand up for the national anthem, get it, sit down, and I turn to Graz. I'm like, dude, I always get the tummy tingles during the national anthem. I don't know, don't know what it is. It is what it is. And Graz, he might be a lot of things, but he's a pretty good, wise old bat. And he's like, it's because we selflessly internalized everything. We've taken it in and we've made it our DNA. And he's exactly right. So, with that said, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, very similar. I get goosebumps every time I hear the national anthem, and when I see the flag, it means something to me. So, um, when the whole Afghanistan pullout debacle happened, so Maxton Soviak was actually from the town where I live in. which he was the Navy corpsman that was killed there. And to see the people rally behind the flag and support that family, that was a moving thing. And I think that it's unfortunate that that's what brings us together sometimes. But when you see the flag and you hear the national anthem, um, and for me, when I hear taps, like taps is gut wrenching. Like it's beautiful and gut wrenching, but the silence when you hear a hero come back, from that, it is, there's nothing like it. And the vast majority of the veterans that I know, they feel the same way. Like, we went into it selflessly because we believe in something greater than us. We believe in the ideology that, America is supposed to be the guiding light for the world, that we are supposed to be the best example of humanity in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And we've lost a lot of that, unfortunately, but it's not gone.
Oh, yeah.
We can get it back. But that's what it means to me, man. Like it is the opportunity that a poor kid from Virginia can go and see the world and lead people and it's the American dream still exists, but you have to go take it. And it's interesting, the legalized immigrants, the people that have come over the right way, they are some of the most patriotic motherfuckers I've ever met in my entire life.
It's truth, man.
I mean, because they're coming from countries that they recognize they don't have the opportunities there that we have here. And for all of our faults that we have, you with enough effort, grit, and determination can be whatever the fuck you want to be here. And that's beautiful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, man, I'm getting tummy tingles just relating to everything you say, because it's the absolute truth. But we got a long road ahead of us. We got a lot of making up to do. 2024 is going to be 2024 is going to come just as fast as the midterms came. So we got a lot to look forward to. But dramatic pause for effect. We got a lot to be thankful for, man. Sun's coming
Absolutely.
up, and our hearts beating every day, and our kids are happy and healthy and doing our thing, and we can't complain, And most importantly, we got each other. I'm a phone call away, no matter what, and that. So
same,
Brian.
And I'm also thankful for the opportunity to be on here, and that I don't look like you mostly.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'd appreciate that too. So, dude, I love you, man. I love you. Don't ever change, brother. Man. And
we'll have to do this again. It was fun.
Amen. There's plenty of time. We'll make it happen.
Yes, sir.
All right, dude. If I don't talk to you, happy birthday, man. We got it here in a few days.
Happy birthday. Yeah. I'll be in South Carolina. I'll have to find some people to get in trouble with. So
amen. That's what it's all about.
All right, brother.
10-4, dude. All right, we're gonna roll into commercial. If you are watching this, you statistically fall into 3 different categories. Number 1, you need a second or third income for your household. Number 2, current politics scares the absolute bejesus out of you. Or number 3, there's money in tech and you want in, but you just don't know how. Okay, so currently there's hundreds of millions of dollars just sitting in a pot, just waiting to be monetized on platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And you're behind the curve if you're not just poking at the crumbs that are coming down at $1,000, $2,000, even $5,000 a month, just in posting and talking about stuff that you enjoy in your spare time. You're absolutely crazy if you're not at least trying to get some of the money just to talk about things that you're passionate about. Set up a time and a day right now to come talk to one of our specialists, and we'll be able to walk you through some of the options available to help you get monetized and build a platform. Find out how at www.carbonmelon.com. That is www.carbonmelon.com. Exactly how it sounds. CARBONMELON.com. Come, click on the link, join us today, and make an appointment. We look forward to seeing you. Thanks again for coming. Not going to take up too much more of your time. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.